Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am a little torn by today's video because I have two palettes in front of me, and the one is the new Mirage palette from Alter Ego, but when you look at the color story, you would say that it is a dupe of the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. Their price points are very different. The color stories are laid out differently. There are some variations in the palettes, but we're going to try out the blendability. We're going to compare the shimmers. We're going to swatch a couple different shades and just see the comparisons of both of them. Now, I'm intrigued to know if you can tell which is which. If you think you know, comment it before you watch the rest of this video. Now, before we jump into this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Hit the bell for notifications of new videos. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. But if you want to see how these palettes compare and what I think of both of them, just keep watching. Okay, you guys, so I have a brand new palette in front of me, and this was sent to me from the brand Alter Ego. This is their Mirage palette. The packaging is very pretty. The color story is gorgeous. If you've seen this color story before, it is because it is very similar to the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. And I say similar only because it looks like they're a little bit different formulations, but the layout is also different. When we're talking about the comparison of the two palettes, side by side, you can tell that the colors are in different areas, but they have similarities as far as just texture or color payoff. And I will swatch a couple. I absolutely adore shimmers, so I'm going to swatch what I think is their comparison, and we can kind of get a base for that as well. Dupes can be controversial, and I say that because the originators have put time and effort into developing, creating, making this product. Now, when we're talking about the Huda Beauty Empowered palette, this retails for $69. The Alter Ego Mirage palette retails for $24. Also, they gave me a discount code, which is Ashley Lorraine, is on the screen as well as the drop down box, and I will link their site if you're interested in checking them out. So $24 with 10% off. Not a bad amount of change to pay for a palette. We are going to look at the colors, the payoff, the blendability. I'm going to put Huda Beauty on one side. I'm going to put Alter Ego on the other. We're going to see how they compare. Now, when you're talking about a dupe brand, sometimes you just cannot afford the higher end product. And that is why the dupe brands aren't such a bad thing, because maybe you want that palette, but you just don't have the money in the bank. And that is why the brands, when they're a little more affordable, are more attainable. But at the same time, they didn't necessarily put in the original legwork as the originator brand. So I'm interested to know your thoughts. Definitely put that thought process in the comments. We don't have to be hostile. Friends can disagree. I was actually torn when they messaged me and asked if I wanted to receive their palettes. And at first I wasn't sure, but at the same time, isn't it worth due diligence to try both palettes out and see how they compare? The best form of flattery is duplication, right? They did also send me their eyeshadow base, which we'll try out today. And then I also got their matte liquid lipstick in the shade Crush, which looks like it's kind of a like berry tone. Okay, so that's what that looks like. All right, so this is their lip product. There's kind of a scent. I'm not sure, but we will probably try this out as well. All right, let me go ahead and prime the eyes. All right, so it's just a component. Can't tell what shade it is. All right, so it looks like it might have some color to it. We'll see. Which I don't mind a tinted eyeshadow base. Sometimes they'll cancel out my veins. It's only fair to try both palettes on the same eyeshadow base. So it feels a little tacky, And it seems to have dried down. It's not really slippy, which I appreciate. All right, so I'm gonna use these same brushes for both color applications. I do have my color switch so that we can make sure that the brushes are clean and there's no transferability. But I think it's only fair that they are tried with the same brushes because different brushes can do different things. All right, now looking at some of these colors. So in Mirage, the shade Cleopatra, to me looks like the shade Bold Moves. So I'm gonna swatch those two real quick. Very buttery in Huda Beauty, just as buttery in the Mirage palette. All right, so those two. This one is Huda and this one is Alter Ego. Very shiny, very gold. There is a little bit of a difference. I want to say this one has a little more foil to it, but at the same time, they are very shiny. They both have the gold with the copper glitter, very similar. Now in Mirage, the shade Sirocco, this is the one that has a shimmer and like a gel in it. And then in the Huda Beauty palette, this is Manifest It. So, okay. So this one is Alter Ego. This one is Huda Beauty. Very similar. You even see like the coppery undertone. All right, so I'm going to put those two right here. So this one is the Alter Ego and this one is Huda Beauty. Why does that one look more foiled? This is gonna be fun. Okay, there's one more that I want to try out and it is the one that looks like a purple and peach tie-dye. All right, so in Huda Beauty it's Visionary and in Alter Ego the shade Odyssey. This is where it varies. This one is Huda Beauty and it looks very like coppery peach. This one is Alter Ego and it looks like it has more purple tones. But that's the other thing is they're a marbled effect eyeshadow. So honestly, how you swatch it, it could be two different shades. But even the Alter Ego has the coppery tones in it. So the Alter Ego one looks like it has more glitter, where the Huda Beauty has more like shimmery. It's not as glittery, just more chromatic shimmer. Not every shade's going to be exactly the same, but I'm also interested when I apply the mattes to see which ones are very similar in how they apply and the blendability. But you guys, the shimmers do not disappoint. Okay, you guys, I had to look at both the palettes and see which way I wanted to go because the other thing is matching the matte shades with the corresponding palette and making sure that I have the right ones. Now also looking closer at the two palettes, the Alter Ego tends to lean more like the peachy shades in Huda Beauty look like they're a little more orange in Alter Ego. So do I think it's a dupe? Kind of, but the shades are a little more similar than identical. We're gonna play with this. We're gonna see what it is all about, how close my eyeshadow looks can be using the shades I think correlate. I'm gonna have fun with this. I'm really excited for it. All right, so we're gonna start with the Alter Ego side on my right, and I'm gonna go into the shade Tomb, and this is just gonna go into my crease and the outer V. Has anyone tried out Alter Ego, or is this the first time that you're hearing about them? I'm interested because when I was looking at their palettes, they have some similar palettes to some of my favorite ones, including the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I can't remember the name of it, but one, it sold out on their site, and there's a shade that I use, well, there's a couple shades that I use for work all the time. I was like, man, to buy a palette just for one shade wouldn't be a bad thing. Now, I'd be interested to compare them and see because that palette is phenomenal. It is one of my all-time faves. So that palette, I would love to do a comparison and just see. All right, so that is blending out beautifully. Just popping in a little bit extra on the outer V to get a good build. And before you ask, eyeshadow base does do something. It will help keep the color where it's supposed to be. It'll help it not crease throughout the day, and the longevity. So there's people that don't like eyeshadow base, or they'll just use like a concealer. Back in the day, I did foundation on my eye. Like, I've just put foundation all over my face and would just think that it would last. There's a reason they have eyeshadow base. And for me, because I have oily lids, it's just better off that way. All right, so we are gonna color switch. If you do not have one of these, they are like the best thing. And I can run this all underwater with some soap, let it air dry, and I'm good to go. Okay, so I used DUPE, which I think its comparison is this shade Rebel. Looking at it, that's what I'm getting for correlation. So, same brush, and I'm going to put it on this eye. The other thing is, shades in the pan can look different when they are placed on the eye, which they look very similar on the eye. And I may have gone in a little more heavy-handed on this. That's what blending is for. I went in, you can see where I like stamped it in way too much. That is my fault. I'm gonna go back into the Alter Ego palette to even them out. Okay. I think I want to try the dark browns. I was looking at the grays and I was like, ooh, that'd be pretty. But I really want to try the dark brown because to me, they have just slight differences. All right, so color switch. We're gonna go into the shade Endless. This one I'm gonna pick up and place first before I blend it out, and keep it pretty low because I want to keep that peachy shade. Like, it was perfect timing. I just talked about the Empowered palette in my fall favorites. So we're gonna do that right now for the first wash of color, because I'm also gonna use a compacted smudge brush to build it up in the outer V. I'm gonna go into the shade Confident. Okay, not bad. All right, so color switch, because I used this brush yesterday. I should probably actually wash my brushes. I'm really bad about that. Still in the shade Endless, I'm gonna use the compacted smudge brush. All right, and the skipping, that is normal because I have 39-year-old eyelids. Alright, make sure to color switch. Before anyone says, you don't have to show us every single time, there's gonna be someone that goes, we didn't know that you color switched. So I'm gonna show you every single time. Alright, into Confident with the compacted smudge brush on the left side. My left, your right, if you're looking at it. This one looks a little bit deeper, but I also think I went into the Huda palette a lot more. We're going into the Mirage real quick and just making sure. I don't have anything crazy going on today. We're just gonna go run some errands, pick up some things. We're out of coffee creamer and I need coffee creamer, especially on the weekends. All right, I am not mad at this. All right, into Mirage, we're gonna go back into DUPE, just on the outer edge to blend those two colors. And back into Rebel. Now, which shimmer to use? I'm gonna use the shade Cleopatra. I am going to pick it up on my ring finger. So beautiful. We're gonna place it in the center towards the inner corner, and then I'm gonna use a dry brush to finesse it just like I do with any of my other palettes. That is really pretty. And my dry brush. There is some fallout on the cheek, but we'll see if there is with the Huda Beauty palette. All right, let's use the makeup wipe and make sure there's no cross-contamination between the palettes. I'm going into the shade Bold Moves, also on the ring finger. There's a little fallout, just not as much as with this one. Fallout's not a big deal because I don't put my base products on until after I do my eyes anyways. All right, now the dry brush and just the inner corner. I think if I hadn't told you that they were two different palettes, you wouldn't know. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna go do some face products and I'll be back so we can finish off the eyes. Okay, you guys, base products are on. Everything is listed down below if you want to check that out and see what I have on my face. But we need to finish off the under eyes. Now, we will start with the alter ego side and we are going to drop into Tomb to start out. So the little tiny compacted smudge brush, I'm gonna take this all the way under. So easy, blended, beautiful. And now onto Huda Beauty Empowered into the shade Rebel. Just as easy. And switch. Now we're going into Mirage and going into the shade Endless. And then the compacted smudger. That is so pretty. And then color switching both of them and dipping into Confidence. You guys are gonna have to let me know what you think as far as these eyes are concerned, because as of right now, I can't tell the difference. Like, All right, I have been using, I did the Prosecco Fizz for my highlighter and it has kind of a goldy tone. This is from RMS. I'm gonna put that in the inner corner and the brow bone. Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and do brows, lashes, liner. I'll be back for lips and we can discuss this eye look. Okay you guys, only thing missing is the lips, and we have this liquid lipstick from Alter Ego in the shade Crush. All right, I normally do lip liner, but I also wanna see, cause some will bleed or whatever, I wanna see how it performs by itself. Very nice, like it just is very smooth. It doesn't help that I probably should have done like a lip mask because this cold weather is not helping my lips. It's pretty. I don't know that it's the shade that I would have paired with this look, but it's pretty. And it feels good on the lips. So all of that was done with one coat. I hadn't even dipped back in. Okay, not bad. Not the shade I would go for, but I'm not mad at it. It is really pretty. Maybe like springtime, this would be my vibe. I've been into reds and like merlots, just the deeper shades, not so pink, but I like it. Okay, you guys, so this is the final look all put together. And when I'm looking at these eyeshadows, I cannot really tell a difference. Let me know your thoughts. Sometimes as an onlooker watching a video, you can pull things out of a video that I may not necessarily see. So I'm looking at them and they look like they're similar shades, even though in the pans they didn't look similar when it came to the matte shades, but applied to the eye, I think they do. Even these shimmers, very, very similar. Like I said, on the alter ego side, I did have some fallout on my cheek. That happens with shadows, and it's normal for me because I tend to do my makeup afterwards so I can sweep away the glitter, the shimmer, whatever the fallout was, and it wasn't horrible. I don't see a difference. Let me know your thoughts. So there is a price difference. Mirage is $24, and like I said, there is a discount code with Ashley Lorraine, so definitely go and use that if you're looking at picking up from Alter Ego. And then Huda Beauty retails for $69. I do not have a code with them. I love their makeup products, and I'm not surprised that a brand wanted to replicate what they had done. I think if you're trying to save some money, check out Alter Ego, especially because there are so many different palettes that they have on their site. When I was looking, there were so many beautiful color stories. I've seen a lot of them throughout my time on YouTube, but I'm torn on it. I love the eyeshadow palettes when they're first put out. I can pick them up, I can play with them, but I also like the idea of being able to save some money but still have that beautiful product. So let me know your thoughts. Let's have a conversation. Put your comments down below, and definitely check out Alter Ego if you're looking at trying to save yourself some money but also wanting a beautiful eyeshadow palette. You guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications of new videos, and if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Until my next video, you guys, bye. I'll see you in the next one.